so the people that got disfellowshipped when that whole spread happened, when they disfellowshipped a whole bunch of people. So you're in Bethel, or you came from Virginia. Did they just say, "Oh, you're disfellowshipped and you're out in the street," or did they like fly you back home, or is it just like
Oh, yeah, right.
kicked out the front door?
So they get you to the nearest airport, or if you have your car, they help you pack it. And at that point, when your verdict is rendered, and I used to work in the department where we would take care of these matters, so I would be the go-to guy to get people out. So immediately we would start to assemble all of their stuff. There would be two elders that would escort them at all times, just like most companies do, though. It runs like a corporation, and they would get you to your car, and you can't come back on the premises. They'd finish out your books if you owed money or if you had some money due. Most brothers didn't have cars. You're getting $90 a month. A lot of them came in at 19.
Hmm.
So,
So they take them to the airport, and then what? Like, do they give them a ticket, or they just take them to the airport?
well, give them some sort of probably. I don't know how that part worked because that didn't happen to me. But I take it if the guy didn't have money, they want him out of there, and they're going to send him back home to wherever he came from, and maybe they'll have the congregation balance out that last ticket, or maybe they just write it off and chalk it up to the game. I'm not sure.
But they actually, when they're charging you out, they have you stop by a area that says, "Oh, you owe this money this money to us, so you can pay that off
Oh
before you
yeah,
leave."
oh yeah. You have to balance out. They listen. They have. I'll never forget one of the guys who allegedly was doing the bribing. When he died, him and the other brother, they owned so many properties down in Brooklyn because they were wheelers and dealers. These guys
Hmm.
were old school, right? But um, from what I heard the guy say on a television program, he said Watchtower came in number two on the list of corporations who made the most money. That's how much money Jehovah Witnesses were making.
Behind the
And this brother
Mormons.
said, right. So the brother said to the reporter, he says, but we have free labor. So actually, we're number one. So you see what I'm saying? In the background, you think you're
Said
doing a
that
great deed for
publicly?
God, but ultimately you're doing free labor. Think about it. 10 years, I did 10 years, 45 hours a week. What kind of price tag can you put on that? And in my mind, I was doing it for God.
Mm.
Wow.
And
So,
now think about this. When I was at Walk Hill, we had 3,000 people. Patterson had another 3,000, and Brooklyn had 5,000. That's just one branch here in New York. And then we also had other branches, Kingdom Farm, and all these other little places. And people are coming in on tour buses. They're donating money. You have celebrities donating money, congregation donating money. And it got so bad that even if they changed it up so that when people would pay off their Kingdom Hall, right, because they would give them a loan, charge them interest or whatever, when they pay off the Kingdom Hall, now they want the publishers to donate per publisher. So it's just a money racket. But if you're doing it with God in view, you don't often get a chance to understand and see the nature of how they really operate.
so with your heartbreak from after your mother, and how she was treated, was that sort of kind of becoming your breaking point?
Dealing with that situation alone was a breaking point, I would say. It was tough because I love my mother dearly. I also love my grandmother. She passed right
Right,
before
right,
that.
right.
But when you stop and think about it, especially I'm a country guy, right? Coming out of Virginia, I don't have any major resources. And the way they operate is if a guy was out playing basketball and he gets hurt, then you got to go back home. I knew a guy who was working in the kitchen and he got bleach in his eye. Within 2 weeks, they're sending him back home. So see your whole life now. What they told you not to go to college, right? So what are these guys
Right.
going to do? So you're
Exactly.
basically there, and so that's why they came up with the layoff, because so many people were there just because they were afraid to go back. It's like a guy in prison. Some of these guys want to stay in prison because they fear the real world, having to go get a real job and start a family and all these different things. When they had this thing where if you were there 5 years, it's like a silent thing to where you could be there forever. Basically, you were a lifer. So once a person made 5 years, a lot of guys didn't even want to get married, because when you get married and you're trying to bring in a wife, now you have to go back through the application process with your potential wife, your
Wow.
fiance, and you could
Uh-huh.
be rejected. So a lot of guys says, "Hey, I'm gonna stay here and just be a lifer because I love being here so much, or I fear leaving." And so that was the dilemma that they came up with, and I think that's why they did the layoff. Like, how do you lay off a free worker? You know what I'm saying? It's like a weird thing, right?
Right, 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 right.
But it goes to show, when you go to the dynamics of Jehovah's Witnesses, in the background, they're investing in major companies. There are some people online that picked up where they allegedly have invested in weapon company, any company that can make a dime. I mean, it's a smart company. They're bringing in all this money, um, and if you are astute with money, you know your money has to work for you. So, but they tell us as Jehovah
Oh,
Witnesses to do not follow the world, but
yeah.
believe me, they use the world to the full.
Now let me ask you a question. Now, being that it's a religion, right? So did they fall under the 50C13 church? Did they have to pay taxes, or they
No
did not have to
taxes.
pay taxes?
They don't pay taxes.
Yeah. So for that's including the properties.
Correct.
Okay.
So the money is hand over fist.
So they get to keep it all. Wow. So
Right.
because I know a lot of the big corporations, especially like the Scientologists, being that they are a religion, they fall under that branch. They have so many. They don't. Some of them is buildings are just sitting there, not even being of use. It's just they're holding the property, right? But
Right. Right.
so yeah.
I think Jared Kushner bought those buildings, a lot of those buildings in Brooklyn, allegedly, and it was $1 billion. I mean, money is not an issue, but recently they started to ask for a lot of money, and they said that they were having some money issues. There's some videos, I think, or even on my channel, they mentioned that. So you never know. I think it's because of the court cases. One case alone, the girl was awarded 26 million
Oh,
out of California. I think her name is Conti. My last name is Conti. You can look up that case. It's actually on my channel too, where she got that. That's one case where they checked out 26 million.
Man,
mm,
you know what's so crazy? Like I'm. This is really amazing to hear this because I never knew it was this intricate of what I just knew that they knocked on doors and tried to give you the. I didn't realize it was this huge of a organization. And
Right.
I'm wondering, is there a family? You know how you have the Colgate family, you have the Crest family, the Hilton family, is there like a whoever the main person that
the
started this
heads,
that
the heads,
I'm talking about the person that created this system where his offspring
right?
are like in control, like are the chairpersons. I'm not sure if this is even a public company. It probably still
Right.
is private, so I
So
don't know.
I could
No,
tell
it's
you a
public.
story. A friend of mine was getting kicked out because he was flirting with another man's wife at Bethel. And so he came to see me on his last couple of days. I was kind of his advisor because I was actually going through some situations myself with him because I was in an accident and I was battling with him for care. It was a mess, that happened during my last 3 years. Um, but he was the assistant to one of the highest guys at the of the branch. And he told me, and he had some documentation, and I tried to get him to let me take pictures of it. But he was expressing to me that he was like, "Did you know that it's not Jehovah Witnesses that own this religion?" And I'm like, "What?" And he had the documentation there. I couldn't get it from him, but it opened up my mind. And I'm like, well, that makes sense to why these layoffs are happening, because if you have a guy that's not religious, he's looking at the bottom line. I'm like, why would you? Let me give it to you this way. And I saw it with my own eyes. I heard the first talks when they were doing the layoff. You have a guy there with a wife. They've both been at Bethel 30 years. She doesn't have any kids. She wanted kids, but just to be in her assignment with her husband, she forewent all of that and thought that they were going to die at Bethel and be lifers, because there's a bit of clout that comes with it. You get to fly out, and he gives talks in Aruba, and then the local congregation look at you as being like a celebrity. They treat you nice. Some of these guys, um, I think allegedly Larry Graham bought one of the brothers a car. That's alleged, but there's a lot of perks that come with being a Bethelite. So you have this couple been there 30 years, don't have kids, and then all of a sudden you're coming to them and saying, "Hey, you're out of here. You're laid off." Can you imagine? I know one couple in particular where his wife divorced him within 2 weeks of them leaving. So,
Wow.
it's real life, and
Wait,
most
so
people, they just think
they
holy,
might
holy, holy, but it's
they might have left all their house and stuff to become a Bethelite. So when they put them out, they just put them out on the street. That's crazy.
well, a lot of them were sent out to be special pioneers, but that's just like a soft landing, because they figure once you get there, and then they'll change. Once you get in, see, this is what I learned about the organization. They'll give you a soft landing to make it seem like they took care of you. So this is what happened to one couple I know of. They made them special pioneers, so now they sent them out to live in a Kingdom Hall out in Ohio. So now they get a little stipend each month. They have to get a certain amount of hours and do this and that. Then within 2 months, now the friends are saying, "Oh, well, the organization took care of you." And then 2 months down the line, they pull the cord on that or whatever. And now he has to go out. He's in his 50s or 60s, no 401k, very little money in the bank, a raggedy car, the same suits he's been wearing for 20 years. And you got to start all over, you know? And you know what they say? They say Jehovah's going to take care of you. So
And
that's just the nature of the beast.
depending on uh if you had kids or not before you became a Jehovah Witness, a lot of them shunt their children and they don't know where they at.
And
So
a lot of them
start,
don't care where they're
yeah.
at. These people don't care. It's a brick wall there.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you turn your back, when a person, it's a strange thing, and I do a lot of time research, and it's a strange thing how this brainwashing works. It's tremendous. It's hard to rethink a lot of things that you've been taught over your life. It's very hard. And that's why even now, I struggle with certain things, such as Christmas. I mean, I celebrate it now, but it's not like I get a weird feeling about it, or a certain type of music. Like we couldn't listen to R. Kelly, obviously, but back when before he got in trouble, you couldn't listen to these popular artists, R. Kelly, Jay-Z. You shouldn't be listening to any of these things or whatever. So even now to this day, just listening to rap sometimes, or I might find myself singing a Jehovah Witness Kingdom melody, because I spent all my life being one. These things are sometimes embedded in your head. You think about, or like even going into a church. I used to get it'd be scary to go into a church for a funeral, you know. So even to this day, to go into a church, you get a weird feeling like, oh, this is false religion. You know what I mean? So a lot of people that I see in the groups that I'm an administrator in, a lot of them are struggling because brainwashing of Jehovah's Witnesses and any other religion is very, very tough.
and it's very common. So walk us through.
What real quick though, I
Uh,
just pulled it up because we were just talking about the stock market, the business of it all. So I was trying
Right.
to see, is Jehovah Witnesses church on the stock market? It says no, the church is not, but the Watchtower Society, which is a corporation owned by Jehovah Witnesses, was listed as one of the New York's 40 richest corporations in 2001 with revenues over 950 million.
And Watchtower owns the Kingdom Hall, so that's what you
it,
got to understand.
it,
So that's what I was talking about when the guy says, "Hey, we're number 2." Well, no, really, we're number 1 because we got free labor. So this is what I'm talking about.
yeah, and they have to separate it to get the 501c3, DJ. So the church can't be a corporate. I mean, it's a corporation, but it's tax free.
They're a
So
religious.
right,
Explain to
they're
you,
under the right,
they are a religious order. Yeah.
right.
A
So
religious
it,
order? What does that
it
mean? Wait, hold on.
that
Wait a minute. What do you
means
mean religious order?
it means
Look up.
it can't make profit. So everything is a donation.
No.
Right. Put in religious order.
It's a religious order.
Oh, it's a group of men who live under religious vows. The vows commonly taken are to relinquish all possessions and personal authority, vows of poverty and obedience, and not to engage in vow of chastity.
That we're talking about the money part. The money part is what we're talking about. They have to
I
separate
don't
that so they
think
can get
that's
tax free everything.
no, that's what
Right,
that's called a 501c3. I'm talking about the business of how they have it structured to where they can get this free labor under the corporation, but then the chairpersons of the Watchtower can be secretly running the religious company. You
right.
know what I'm saying?
I got
That's
you.
the problem. I find that I don't know if people are a religious order is a lineage of communities and organizations of people who live in some way set apart from society in accordance to their specific devotion.
Hmm.
So,
So
yeah,
let me just show you here. See here? This
Jehovah
is, you probably can't see it,
Here,
but
I'll show.
this is my Bethel vow of poverty.
Here,
This is the
stop.
family vow, and I'll just give you a couple quick points. Number 1, to live in the common family lifestyle that has traditionally existed at Bethel. Number 2, to volunteer my services to do whatever work I'm assigned to me. Number 3, to be submissive to the theocratic arrangement at Bethel. Number 4, to devote my full-time efforts to Bethel assignments. Number 5, to abstain from employment without permission. Number 6, to turn over to the common treasury of the local religious organization all income received from any work from any personal efforts in excess of my necessary living expenses unless released from the vow. Number 7, to renounce any claim for more than decent support for the time I am a member of the Bethel family. Number 8, to accept meals, lodging, and expense allowance the same as all other members of the Bethel family, regardless of the level of responsibility or the value of my efforts. And number 9, to abide by the principles that appear in the manual, dwelling together in unity, as the manual may be amended from time to time. And right here, I have 3 copies of that. So that just gives you an idea of
Okay,
this vow of poverty.
that sounds like slave, not the vow of poverty, but a
Right.
vow of slavery, a vow of slavery. And then you have this is a way for a corporate for stakeholders because if the Watchtower is public, a publicly traded organization with over 950 million billion, whatever it is, in money and stocks and whatever, and it has chair people, and then you have these people in this religious that this company owns this nonprofit organization that's a church, and people are working in a church that have taken a vow of this order of chastity, of poverty, or whatever, and everything. It's like a vow of slavery. then it's almost like it's basically modern, like really modern day slavery.
Yes.
That
Wow.
was a part of that.
Wow. Wow.
So it's a lot. It's a lot.
And
Have
we're
to be.
so it's allowed to be happening, free labor under the guise of God, and worship.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Hmm.
you have to ask, where does all the money go,
Oh, that's kind of.
right?
Go ahead.
And that's the big mystery. Where does all that money go? And like that brother said, it's all free labor. So
Do
it
you
makes
know
you
where the
think that
money
there's
goes?
Well, I can't
no,
hear him.
no, but it.
Do you
I
think
says
that
no.
that these people are involved with any kind of politics or
Well,
like
of course.
like law?
Yeah, I mean, you're never gonna know the inside track of the real deal, but you do know that right now they're taking on a lot of heat throughout the world, so much so that they had to allegedly bring in an outside organization to help them understand and how to make changes to retain more people because they're losing so many people being disfellowship, people just leaving, people not joining anymore. So that's why now you can wear a beard, women can wear
Yeah.
pants. They're softening that up, and who knows where they're going to take this in the future to try to make it a more day to day appealing religion.
We're at the part of the of this live where we invite some people from the audience that have questions to talk. We have a guy Blue that just came up. Sugar, did you drop your link in your chat yet?
No, not yet. But go
It's,
ahead.
it's in the it's in the private chat. Okay, Blue, you had a question or comment?
Well, yeah. One thing, if you can, I would. If I'm not sure if the brother is cool with it, but I'm kind of sharp with the Bible. I know you said you were still helping people come out. I like to get a chance to go over some scriptures with you one day. If you can get my number for DJ Genesis and give me a call
All
because
right, can you just
yeah, I
can you
definitely.
give me a quick shot? I mean, maybe take a minute or two if the ladies are okay with it, just to let me hear what you got a little bit. I'm not gonna get into it all now, but I just want to see what you got.
Oh, you talking about as far as the scriptures?
Yeah, what's one of your what's your go to?
Well, one of them is even dealing with dealing with from Michael being Jesus, or Jesus being Michael the archangel. Um, that's one of my that we could deal with. Um, as
Okay.
far as uh, what was one of the major ones? You got me on the spot. Let me think about one that's
That's okay. All right. That's good enough. I just want to get an idea where you're at with it. That's cool.
yeah.
I'm very versed when it comes to that, so I'm ready to go. Just get my number.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know,
And on my channel, I break down a lot of scriptures where there's mistakes in the Bible and all that type of stuff. So you might like to check it out. Yeah, I think you would appreciate my angle.
yeah, Blue
Okay.
used to be a he used to be a Hebrew Israelite. A lot of our people that
Oh,
are
okay.
in our audience are either have had experience with a lot of different religious, cult like organizations or whatever, or are still in cults or maybe whatever. So
Well,
this is
is he?
I think
i-
a
i-
place of dialogue. It's a place of
Is
dialogue.
he's an ex? Is he's an ex? Well, he's still Hebrew,
No,
but
no, I'm
I
not a ex J Dub, but I did study I was in a relationship with somebody, and so I studied all of the material,
okay.
But
all of the
he used to be
pamphlets, everything.
a Hebrew Israelite though, right?
Right. I came out
So
of Christianity. I was a New Testament Israelite. I came out of the New Testament. I became an Old Testament Israelite only, and then I came out of that. I seen idolatry
Are
and the
you
whole thing.
Oh, okay,
are
but
you in
before
religion?
we
Period or no?
You could kind of say I kind of started one. I think Basically, we in the works of because I think religion is still important whenever you build creating a culture. But I think the most important thing about religion or spirituality is that it has to be connected directly to the people.